Hello, Astro friends. It's Melanie on November 5th, 2025, with the Astro Weather for the week until November 11th. And what a week this is! This is probably the most packed week of the year when it comes to astro shifts and events, starting with the super moon we had last night at 5:19 a.m. Pacific Standard Time this morning. The moon was exactly full and she was also in perigee, the closest to Earth full moon of a series of 4 supermoons in a row, which started on October 6th, now November 5th, December 4th, and January 3rd. So, yes, no wonder if he couldn't sleep well last night, if a lot has been built up, which is now to be released and also to be liberated. In fact, why am I saying that? Because the super moon, as I call her, mega moon, you can call her, in Taurus, in mid Taurus, double Taurus, very strong there, but also approaching Uranus in early Gemini, and Uranus will actually also re-enter Taurus on the 7th of November in 2 days. Plus, there's so much more going on this week. It's pretty crazy. Yes, Hong Kong, not just from the Uranus perspective and from the supermoon perspective and from Mercury retro starting soon. So let's break this down a bit and unravel before it unravels before our eyes. Let's see what this full moon chart, what the supermoon chart reveals, and because all the different events that are now in the making are already showing up there. So let's start with the supermoon. Yes, this morning the moon exactly here at 13:22 Taurus, between 13 and 14 degrees, and the sun at 13:42 Scorpio, in the center of Scorpio, in the center of Taurus. What's even with that? That is double Taurus, double Scorpio. That's the actual season now of sowing, of Halloween, center of fall. It's celebrated on the 31st of October, and of course also All Saints, All Souls, Dia de Muertos on November 1st and 2nd, but the actual technical center of Scorpio is now November 5, 6, 7, when the sun is at 15 Scorpio. And the exact center of Taurus, of course, is Beltane energy, celebrated on May 1st, but the actual center of Taurus and center of spring would be typically 2 days later. And so now this is also a super potent energy of fixed signs where energy is concentrated, yet also after the full moon released. And it's the opposite, it's the complementary opposite full moon to the famous May Wesak moon of the Buddha, when the sun is in Taurus and the moon in Scorpio, when the invitation is to process all these deep, dark emotions that keep us stuck, that often we sabotage ourselves, we want to be in control, we are going into a deep dive that might not really process fully through. And the invitation with the Wesak moon, of course, is to sit with it all, to allow things to move, not to hold, not to be attached, especially, right? Not to be attached to an outcome, not to be attached to needing to be in control of things, basically, right? Because that creates suffering. Yet we're having now a similar vibration of that, a reflection of that, I should say, because what is the attachment of Taurus? Taurus likes to hold on to what's beautiful, to what's pleasant, to what's comfortable, which could be literally also the outgoing warm days and all the joy and comfort that comes with it. But on the other hand, as we're approaching, as the moon approaches Uranus, which will be exact tomorrow morning, we're having also here the invitation to liberate ourselves from these attachments and to be unconditionally free and be in a joy that doesn't have to do with wanting things a certain way, but actually breaking through to the essence of being, where joy and happiness can be sourced without the outer circumstances. And so what could that look like? Uranus is the awakener, is awakening us from states of consciousness that keep us stuck, in fact, keep us stuck into wanting more, which is very Taurian, or wanting to get rid of the conditions we don't like, the pain. Yes, of course, we all do, and hence there's so many um, services and so much support for that. But I heard at some point the distinction between pain and suffering. Pain is a factor. Suffering is, in a way, what we make of the pain, right? So if we suffer the experience where versus experience the suffering, right? Experiencing suffering is already implies more freedom and more space, right? Rather than getting stuck in the suffering. And that's often easier said than done. Yes, I totally acknowledge that. And at the same time, we're also coming out of the Pisces age, which is characterized by so much suffering. And the Aquarius age offers the promise of freedom, right? So we're in a bigger juncture of eras where suffering had been reseeded into humanity, and through interested, power groups in power holders, and creating more division, creating more war, creating more suffering, and then offering solutions and salvation and such. So we don't need that anymore. We know we are freer than that, and this is where it goes with humanity awakening into the Aquarius age, which is in the making. Aquarius is where Pluto is now, the ruler of Scorpio, right? So the ruler of Scorpio is now freshly in Aquarius, has entered a year ago last November, and has just come here on October 13th, the last time to the very beginning of Aquarius. And now Pluto goes really forward, but takes its time to go through Aquarius until 2043-44. So it's a deeper process. Yet at the same time, we're having lots of factors now that show us this is really a transition time. Also seen with Neptune and Saturn at the very end of Pisces, helping us release and complete all sorts of karmic involvement and attachment we've had to Piscean ways that we don't need to carry over into the new way of being, which again can have to do with dependencies, addictions, codependencies, all sorts of cycles of suffering, in fact, and often compensation for the real thing, which is actual spiritual connection that doesn't need a mediation through a religion or church either. So, what is this full moon actually catalyzing? Besides what I already said, we're having now almost every day, as I said before, a new astro event from today, from actually already started on the 4th, yesterday, until the 11th of November. So what's been going on sequentially? On the 4th, Mars entered Sag. Mars came over the Phoenix point from Scorpio into Sagittarius, where the energy rises, where there is a lot of momentum to move forward, upward, onward, and also with more trust, with more hope, with more conviction, with more oomph, and onward, upward. Mars in Sag itself is a fantastic time for traveling, However, there's other factors here involved as well. By the way, Mars will be in Sag until December 14th this year, not as long, just like 5-6 weeks. It can be maximum, or the usual, the average is like 2 months. And when Mars goes retrograde, it's of course super long in a sign, which we already had in Cancer Leo earlier this year. And at this point, Mars is relatively swift through Sag. Then we'll go on the 14th, just before Christmas, into Capricorn, where Mars is super strong. And the Mars in Sag energy gives us momentum, gives us more positivity, but can also stir up the ego with convictions again, with lots of conflict, in fact, over opinions, over what we deem as true and right versus them over there. And I'm saying that also because Mercury is also in Sag freshly since the 29th of October, and also since yesterday, November 4th, in pre-retro storm, which means Mercury goes super slowly now because it's in this U-turn mode before going retrograde from Earth perspective, and goes retro from the 9th to the 29th of November. Meet Mars, right? So Mercury going backwards, Mars going forward, and Mercury retro meets Mars on the meets Mars on the 12th, and then re-enters Scorpio on the 18th of November. But before that, we're having now the onset of Mercury retro in Sag, where Mercury is per se not so happy, because although Sag is a happy sign, but Mercury rules Gemini, and in Sag, the messenger has a bit of an agenda, right? Is not just curious learner and interested, is rather having already an opinion and is kind of on a certain trajectory. And that trajectory of, we might think, is the story, is the truth, is right, might need to be re-examined and unraveled. So listening to other voices and seeing things in a new light, Sagittarius is about seeing and understanding, might be in order for Mercury retro in Sag. Then also going deeper, going into maybe some background research, underground, what's been hiding, what has been hidden, is scorpionic. This is where Mercury goes retrograde into on the 18th of November, which can be really interesting in terms of what can be revealed through maybe random leaks and glitches, right? So, Mercury also going into pre-retro storm, going retro on the 9th, is part of this week. This week's Astro Events. Then we have tomorrow, the 6th, is when Venus enters Scorpio from where we back here. I'm looking from the back, right? Venus now still at the very end of Libra enters Scorpio, goes over the tipping point, and will be in Scorpio from the 6th to the 30th of November. So Venus going into Scorpio as well. So as you see, there's more energy again, recongregating in Scorpio with Mercury and then Venus, Sun anyway. Lilith is there. The new moon will be there on the 19th, 20th. That's going a little bit ahead of myself. But Venus goes into Scorpio. This is where we might have danced and played with possibilities. This is about making a choice that is a choice of love and going deeper with that, right? So it's actually really more intimacy, especially on an emotional level with Venus in Scorpio. That is now attractive also. This is where we need to go rather than just playing with options, where we really feel the magic is, where our heart and soul are. Let's be drawn to that and go into that and see how that affects us and how that changes us and how that, really brings also a deeper transformation to us from a loving place, from a place of, where we really feel we are into it, so to say, all right? So that can have to do with other people, that can have to do with certain activities, that can have to do with self-love, that can have to do with places. So anything that really draws you now into the magic and can be really life-changing. Then we have also the day after, on the 7th now, we have Uranus from Gemini, also from the air sign, as Venus shifted from air to water. Uranus shifts out of the air sign of Gemini, where it's been since July 7th, as a experimental phase this year, back to Taurus one more time until April 26, 2026. So that will be the last wrap-up phase of Uranus in Taurus, where it's been since 2018, 2019. So also a long phase. Uranus is 7 years in a sign typically. And so this will be the last phase of also coming into embodied freedom, is one motto that I give Uranus in Taurus, while at the same time, of course, there's lots of disruption happening to nature, to our bodies, to our food, right? All of that, to the economy, anything that Taurus rules, right? So how can we not let all that get us derailed and destabilized, right? That can happen with Uranus in Taurus. And also, the economy also, like so much disruption via all sorts of interests in territories, in resources. And Uranus is the awakener, right? So it also wakens humanity up. It rules Aquarius, where Pluto is now, and to help us really see what's actually going on with these interests, and to also have good boundaries, I should say, although that's a Saturn piece, but Taurus is rather into waiting, right? Taurus says, let's wait and see. Taurus is a master of resistance. In fact, nope, I'm holding off now, and I'm holding on, maybe for a good reason, right? But at the same time, Uranus in Taurus also gets us unstuck, where we might have too much of comfort zone, right? We're staying in the comfort zone. We're putting our head in the sand. We are just waiting until some divine intervention happens, right? But we can be proactive with Uranus and Taurus. We can also go, at least experiment, right, with Uranus, to go to experiences that bring us more joy, rather than just putting up with things out of comfort, out of convenience, right? There's so much convenience, so much happening in the name of convenience now. Also in terms of the whole online technological world, Uranus, right? So really, do you need all these things? Do you want all these things? Does it really bring you joy and convenience? Or maybe there is something we need to be freer from, right? And then we have, what's next? Okay, so November 7th. November 8th is a little bit of a break in terms of the Astro Events series. Then on November 9th, as I said, Mercury goes retrograde. And then on November 10th, also a little bit of a break. But November 11th is also a big one, because that's when Jupiter in Cancer goes retrograde. And that will also open, by the way, the retro record phase of the year. November 11th until 27th is the record, because that's when Jupiter will be retro, Mercury will be retro at the time, Saturn will be retro, going out of retro on the 27th. Uranus will be still retro. Chiron will be still retro, and Pluto will be retro. Six planets retrograde. So that's a super retro phase that starts. So it's perfect time to actually re-examine certain things, really go inward and revisit also. It's already starting here with various revisits under Mercury retro coming in, and then checking in with people, checking in where we might have lost touch, lost track of. And so for all of that, it's an excellent time. Not such a great time to actually, move something forward, start something new. I would say much better for that from the from the actual Sag new moon on, end of Sag, winter solstice, just before winter solstice, the 19th of December will be a new moon that also starts the unraveling. Actually, the unraveling of the retro had already started by then, and it also takes us into the Capricorn season that's we're building from the ground up. But in the meantime, we're in Scorpio season. We're not even in Sag yet. And Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, and exalted in Cancer, super strong. Why? Because Jupiter in Cancer really connects us with the human family. It also shows where our needs are. This just shows us where we need to actually be more caring, more compassionate here this year with the human family, with our own family, with ourselves. And Jupiter will go retrograde, is stationary the whole month of November, since it goes retro on the 11th, and will go retro from like 24ish degree to 15 degrees on March 11th. Easy to remember, 11/11 to March 11th. And so this Jupiter retro phase is also wonderful for inner exploration, right? Also for memories, for going back into time and into, maybe revisiting family, revisiting childhood, beautiful time for Christmas. And Jupiter in Cancer is probably the key element, at least really definitely a big player in this Grand Water Trine that we've had already since mid-October, and it goes on until early December. The whole month of November it's on. Jupiter is sitting there, and Saturn and Neptune are here sitting end of Pisces. Actually, Jupiter and Saturn are also in exact trine alignment. And also various planets come in and out of the end of Scorpio angle here. And the new moon on the 19th of November will be also exact here. That will be a major key part of that. Plus a trine, and especially a grand trine, also has a Jupiter quality to it because it brings opportunities. So what are the opportunities here? End of the water signs, which all have Pisces undertone. What are the opportunities? Again, connection and also release, right? So definitely also the end of Pisces part is big in the Grand Water Trine. All three parts, all three quarters are. So release, connection, sensitivity, very emotional time, a big wash up. Could be literally also lots going on with the water element physically. Floods, literally, and also it is a big wash out of the Pisces age now. Let's release it all with love, right? That's it. Not with judgment, not with residual resentment or whatever. Release it with love so that actually this is the wave that carries us into a higher vibration from which we inviting more freedom into the Aquarius age that's coming in. So, yeah, And let's just look at the moon this week. Yes, we're just still in the full moon phase, clearly. Today in Taurus, tomorrow in Taurus, until she enters Gemini at 7:20 a.m. Pacific. And soon after, 7:26, 6 minutes after, she meets Uranus, right? So that will be quite a shift and bringing lots of, maybe surprise news, surprise insights and realizations and paradigm shifts. And maybe we can really, it's also an alchemy point. We're having a double alchemy theme right now because Scorpio is an alchemist and also Gemini is, where the moon will meet Uranus. Why is Gemini an alchemist? Because it reconciles, it connects the dots between apparently polar opposites. And it is an ongoing learning process. It's always new ways of alchemizing, of bringing things together that seem to be apart. It's also like the alchemy of language and of translating, right? So one and one is more than two, is very Gemini. And the Scorpio alchemy is, of course, more a deeper psychological, magical, spiritual alchemy. And so, Moon in Gemini tomorrow morning, starting, and then being waning gibbous, right? So it's just coming out of that fullness, pouring it all out. And there's lots to talk about. There's lots to learn from this process we've just in currently. We're just still held by, and we're holding space for it. Then the moon will be in Gemini almost all day tomorrow, all day Friday, and Sunday until she goes into Cancer in the morning at 7 something, 7:08, 7:06 a.m. She will go into her own Cancerian abode, where she will also meet Jupiter on Monday, Moon Day, 1:09 a.m. So the night from Sunday to Monday, we can see at dawn, right? This is the post full moon. We can see at pre-dawn the alignment of Jupiter and the moon. Really beautiful. The waning moon, waning sliver together with bright Jupiter, hopefully there will be clear skies. And the Cancer moon with the Scorpio season, so much water element right now, right? So definitely a beautiful weekend to, again, be in our home, be in our inner home, make the home a more beautiful place, prepare the home for the darkest season, be with family, invite people, open your heart, open your home, and wonderful time for journaling, for being with kids, and all these good things, right? Then we having the moon entering Leo on a Monday morning, yes, 9:34 a.m., being in Leo until Wednesday the 12th. And that will be, of course, also Remembrance Day, the 11th, and 11:11, Moon in Leo with Jupiter going retro on that day as well. Moon in Leo will be a half moon, will be the waning half moon, so also a square from moon to sun, waning square. Things can get a bit dramatic with that, right? With the Leo Scorpio combination, but it's also perfect for creative self-expression, for anything that is really juicy. And so take it more as a theater, right? So not being totally caught in the fangs of the ego and other inner vampires, and rather being playful about it all. Yeah, so that's it for the Astro Week. What a week here. I will yeah, be going to my writings here, having two clients today as well. But there's lots to write about, which you can then read, of course, on my blog for each of these astro shifts and events. Of course, the one for the full moon, supermoon is up. And of course, the one for Mars in Sag, for Mercury in Sag. And if you like a comprehensive approach to it all, you're most welcome to subscribe to my newsletter. Just shoot me an email. The address is here below, and I'll put you on my list. And yeah, and of course, also you can come to a private session. I welcome new clients and most welcome online or in person. And yeah, what else? Yeah, Facebook page. I post there every day, Astro Weather, with photos from nature and whatever strikes my fancy. So I wish you well for this rollout of the SuperMOON. And if we don't see each other in real life, you can see me again here on the channel. Wish you well. Bye.